MSI and EK collabed and brought a motherboard to life that has a lot of goodies in a very large box. So if you want to know what's in this box, what's on the motherboard, you're not going to want to miss this episode because we're going to be getting into all of that today. Like I said in the intro, MSI and EK came together and made the MSI MPG X570S Carbine EKX. No, I didn't look at the box and read the letters off. Yes, I did. Yeah, it's a long name, and it actually is probably a lot longer than that if you read everything else that goes with it. And it is a pricey motherboard. But what it comes with actually evens the price out if you decided to go buy a mono block and a high-end motherboard. And for the price, it comes with a lot of stuff, and it's got a lot of features on it that usually you do not find on a motherboard that's less than about $700 or so. But yes, it is a pricey motherboard. This is how much I gave for it at Micro Center. But again, it comes with a lot and does a lot. But who is it for? Do you really need it? Do you really care? I mean, we're going to answer a lot of those questions in the video too, while we're unboxing it, while we're looking at it, as we're putting things together, because that's why you're watching this video right now, right? Should I give them that much money for this? What is it going to do for me? Do I really care? So a lot of times if you're asking those questions, it's probably a no. You already know what you're looking for. You already know what you want for the most part. And you also got to look at your bank account balance, because these things can actually start draining your bank account, especially if you're rocking a 5950X or a 5900X CPU. Then you bought this, you're already pretty much at the $1,000 right there. Just those two components. And the way GPU prices are, even though they're coming down as of today, well, they're still more than MSRP. So between those three parts, you're looking at about $1,600. And we haven't even talked about getting into the rest of the water cooling parts. So usually with a motherboard like this, you're gonna be ready to start dropping, a pretty penny, a pretty dime in your system. So that's more or less the person it's for. Someone who doesn't really care and they just want the nicest they could get, and they just want to build a really pretty system. They want to make it look great. They want water cooling everything. And I mean water cool everything. Because in a later video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell because you're not going to want to miss that later video. This motherboard is going to be going into Polybius and everything's going to be water cooled. Pretty much everything down to the SSD, the NVMe. So yeah. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss that video. It's going to be a nice PC in the end, so it may be enjoyable just to watch how nice it comes out. So again, guys, hit the bell if you don't want to miss that video. So let's jump into unboxing this thing and see what it comes with inside this box. I swear, big boxes are the best. They come with everything. Look at this, even got a handle to hold it. So we have our normal badges, Ryzen AMD Ryzen 5000 desktop ready. So that means the BIOS installed from the manufacturer should run 5000 series CPUs. So the 5800X, 5900X, 5900, 5950X, those all should run no problem. And at the bottom, we read that says AMD Ryzen 2000, 3000 and 5000 series compatible. So when you see an S at the back of X570 now on the newer motherboards, that just means that the chipset, it's passive right there. Normally the X570 boards will have a fan down there, a baby little fan that spins. A lot of people complain on those small fans making a lot of noise, and they could get annoying, building up dust. It's another point of failure, things like that, to where the chipset will get too hot if the fan breaks, and you can't even see it 9 times out of 10 with a GPU. And they put a big passive cooler on top, so now you don't have to worry about the noise, dust collecting on the chipset or anything like that. So if you're looking for something that's passively cooled on the chipset, you're gonna want to look for the letter S at the end of X570. Now that doesn't mean anything else really and truly. It's not like a complete overhaul or anything like that. There's a few small other benefits, but that's pretty much the main benefit for, well, the new S variant in X570. In the top right hand corner, in their iconic orange and white, is EK's emblem. So that's letting you know that EK collabed with MSI to make this motherboard. Now real fast, you can purchase the same motherboard at a lot reasonable more price without the mono block. They make this board without the EK monoblock, and you could purchase that one. I'll put a picture of it right here, and I'll put the price under it. With that said, let's open this up and see what we get. Okay, so nothing. No, I'm messing with you guys. And we are greeted to the motherboard, something from EK Loop Accessories, and something else being covered up by that black spongy thingy. So let's remove this. Is there anything under here? Nope, nothing's under there. So we'll take this and push this to the side. What's under here? Ah, there's our mono block. So yes, this will cool the CPU and your VRMs and all that good stuff. And it even has the little, I forget what they call this, but yeah, it has this, a water inflow indicator thingy. I wish it didn't, because I tell you the truth, it kind of makes it look tacky. So if I could open this up and take that out, I probably am. Here's our motherboard. Now pay attention if you got this board and you're taking it out. This right here and this little piece right here, the motherboard actually slides under that. So not to damage anything, we're going to pick it up and try to slide it out as gently as possible. And then we're going to pick this up, and look at that. A treasure trove, guys. A literal treasure trove. So what's in here? Looks like we have some RGB cables right here. Some SATA cables right here. I believe this is a reusable USB with all the drivers on it. I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, I'll go through it later and tell you guys. MSI keychain that actually has a Phillips and a flathead. We'll be opening this up so we can see it better. Some more RGB cables. A really premium Wi-Fi 6 antenna. So not one of those cheapy ones. A temp sensor, because this board actually has a temp sensor on the board. You could actually attach this to a header for temperatures. I think this is for the Corsair header on here. Oh no, the other thing is not the USB. This is the reusable USB keychain from MSI. Has all the drivers on it. This baggie has our EK Ecotherm thermal paste, a Allen wrench, screws, gaskets, and washers. I believe this is for installing our mono block. Some literature, a standard AMD backplate. I believe this is that sticky tape to hold it up so you don't, have to try and hold it. Our one-piece thermal pads. We have to cut these ourselves. 1.5 millimeter and 1 millimeter. So we have to cut these to size and cover our VRMs and chokes and all that ourselves. A really cool thin metalish badge from MSI, so that's cool. It's always cool to get, some bling, guys. Some stickers for our motherboard, so you could put these on top of, say, your BIOS battery. Some more thank you stuff. These are really cool. I don't think every motherboard comes with stuff like this, but these are really cool. So we got the little dragon guy. I always forget his name. These right here are, say you have a lot of SATA cables, and you could just write down like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put one on each side. Say this goes to the front SATA cable, this goes to the back SATA cable, so you know which drive is connected where. Same for your fans, and same for your RGB connections. These come in very, very handy. More literature. Stuff that MSI wants us to spend our money on. So, graphics cards none of us can afford. So, yeah, let's throw that over there. It's like a kick in the face. A shout out and how to enter. A quick installation guide. M.2 screws. Some more M.2 screws, because we have a lot of M.2 in this board. And the Carbon Wi-Fi Max Thingamajigger user guide. And that is everything in the box. Also in the description, you're going to find links to our Amazon affiliate for this board, the other board that doesn't come with the monoblock, maybe some other suggestions of X570 boards with the letter S at the end for the passive heat sinks, just some other things down below that may be featured in this video. We do make a small commission on that. That comes from Amazon, not from you. So thank to you guys out there who do use those links. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, guys. And now we'll move on to the next part. So we had a treasure trove of stuff in the box, which is pretty cool. When you get a motherboard, it's pretty much a couple SATA cables, the manual, a useless driver CD, maybe some stickers, maybe a badge. Maybe you might get a badge depending on who it is. But with this motherboard, it came with a lot more than that. It came with a lot of stuff in there, so we'll go over some of that later on in the video, or if not this video, in the video where we actually install this in our PC. But as of now, we're just going to go through the unboxing. I'm going to explain some of the headers on this motherboard. I'm going to explain some of the power delivery, the RAM speeds it can handle, things like that, and other parts of the motherboard that you might not be aware of before you purchase this motherboard. Just because it has 4 PCIe slots doesn't mean you can use all the PCIe slots and the M.2 slots. It doesn't mean you can use all the M.2 slots and all your SATA slots. So those are things you really want to look into before you purchase a motherboard, depending on your needs. If you're planning to load this thing up with hard drives like SSDs, 3.5 inch, 2.5 inch, whatever, well, no, this is not a motherboard I would, point you in the direction of. So all in all, what are you paying for? Who is this motherboard directed towards? Things like that. Well, hopefully I can answer those questions for you before you purchase this motherboard, or at least guide you maybe in the right direction of a motherboard that you might want to buy instead of this one. And at this price point, there's things motherboards need to have when they run like $500 plus. But again, high-end motherboards start at around $800, $900, $700, $1,000, $2,000. This was just over like maybe 600 bucks with tax. And again, you can purchase this board without the EK mono block and still get the same benefits out of this board, the quiet chipset, the fanless chipset, excuse me. Why did I air quotes that? It's fanless. So first, before we get into the board, let's take a look at the 2 main accessories that come with this board. Number 1, let's look at the mono block. So a lot of motherboards you can't find monoblocks for. Usually the higher end motherboards you can. So it's pretty neat that EK worked with MSI to create this one right here. So the one thing I think I pointed out earlier is this flow indicator, which I really don't care for. I'm probably going to open this up and see if I can remove that because I really don't like it at all. But otherwise, yeah, this thing's pretty cool. So it's not just going to cover your CPU and get you better CPU temps, but it's also going to cover up your VRMs, your chokes, anything that may get warm in this vicinity. So let's take it out the bag and take a better look at it. So yeah, this is a very nice looking block. It says X570 Carbon EKX right here. It doesn't look very complicated to take it apart. It has its RGB wire right here. So it lights up too. Pretty cool. So if you're into RGB, oh man, this is the board for you. I believe this is the in and the out. Always check the manual when you're connecting things like this. I'll check the manual and I'll put an annotation here and let you guys know which is the in, which is the out. So yeah, this is not bubbles in the fake carbon sticker. That's just the peel that needs to come off. And on the back, we can see what it's going to be cooling. It's going to be cooling the chokes and the VRMs, and it's probably going to touch a few other things, some caps and stuff, but we have all the things we need for that, all the thermal pads. And this is the mounting, well, part of the mounting system, and of course this needs to be removed before you put it on your board. And of course, whenever installing anything on your CPU, definitely clean your CPU with isopropyl alcohol or any type of cleaner that's designated for cleaning your CPU of thermal paste. So even though this is probably nice and clean on the bottom, still clean it off anyways before you actually do any of the the installation. Very nice, very pretty. It's got a nice long wire. All right, let's put that to the side. Here's our EK loop accessories box. Let's get this open. So they got everything nice and packed in here for shipping if you get this thing shipped out to you, so that's pretty nice. A pump, extender rotary male-to-male G-quarter nickel, and here's our gauge. So yeah, it looks like one of those bicycle pump type things, but yeah, it's even got branded by EK. Ooh, they got their own bike pump. Cool. So let's take this sucker out. So there's our adapter for that part. Pop that right there. Nice braided cable. And our pump. So it's pumping air. So at least it's nice looking, I guess. I don't know. Here's our G-quarter extender. So of course it's EK, so it's nice. It's not ugly or anything like that. So how this would work would be thread it in straight. Don't try not to go cross-threaded. Get it in there. And you don't have to really tighten it too tight. As soon as it stops, give it a little bit more go. Now the extender is on. After you put that in, you would take this piece right here and the larger side, not the smaller side. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Go until it stops. Give it a little bit more, not too much pressure, guys. Then you're gonna take your pump like so. And if you notice, it's threaded right here on the pump. Put that there, and then you're gonna turn that, just that right there. And you're gonna go till it's tight. And that's the setup. Now, when you're pumping air into your loop like this, you're gonna leave this like this, going in the same direction as the pipe and the hose. That means that the cylinder inside the ball, whatever it is open. So the channel is open for air to go from the pump into your system. So that when you're pumping, when you see this get up to 0.5, that's pretty much all you should go. I think it's supposed to be 0.6, but yeah, you don't want to go into the green or the red. I repeat, do not go in the green and the red. I do not understand why this has not been adjusted, but yeah, the older pumps back in the day went to 0.6. By going in the green and the red, you can make yourself big issues. So I'll touch on that after we're done talking about how to do this. So after you pump, you get this up to say 0.5 or even the notch right after 0.5, 0.6. You then would turn this. That would lock this. So once you let go, once you unscrewed this, the air would still stay in because you don't want to leave this dangling there. Disconnect this, and you would leave it in there. Now, you don't need to leave it an hour. You don't need to leave it 24 hours. That is just way too much pressure to leave your system under. So yeah, I'd say about 20, maybe 30 minutes tops. So what's this piece right here? Well, that's simple. Inside of here, you will see that it has a valve stem. That stem, to release pressure so you can take this out of your loop when you're done, is simple. You take this and you press up against that stem, press down, and it'll release the air out of here. I think this piece is just to make it longer, to be honest with you. So yeah, you just make it longer and that's it. I'm not too sure. So let me tell you guys some tips about this. I don't use one. I don't think I've used one ever in my life. If it doesn't leak within 10 minutes or so, the odds are it's not going to leak again. I mean, that maybe an earthquake or something might cause the leak, but I've never really seen a use for these. But I'll explain it to you a little bit. The older leak testers didn't go above 0.6. Now this one, as you can tell, goes way higher than 0.6. It goes to like 1.0 bar or something. You might want to go to 0.5, maybe 0.6, the notch right after that. That's just barely touching on the green. And if you see it lose maybe half a bar, you're fine. Seriously, you're fine, especially after 20 minutes or so. You can let it go a little bit longer, give it another 10-15 minutes after that, and if you see it doesn't go down any more than that, you're probably fine. More than fine, trust me. It's naturally, you're going to lose a little bit of pressure over time. It's just going to happen all by itself. But again, guys, do not put this in the green. If you've done it and you got away with it, cool. I mean, really cool. But that's a lot of pressure you're putting the tubing under and what have you. So again, do not put this in the green. So those are just some quick tips and tricks I thought I'd give you guys about this. Again, I don't use these. If it doesn't leak within the first 10 minutes or so, it's probably not gonna leak. But I do test them sometimes for an hour or two, or I'll leave it all night if it's late and I'm going to sleep anyways. All right, leave it on, whatever. No big deal. It's not gonna hurt anything. But again, that's how you would use this. And let's move on to our board. All right, let's get to that part. So up here we have our 8+4 power for our CPU, our EPS supplemental power. We have our chokes and our VRMs right through here. And this is where you're gonna put those pads for your monoblock, because these need to be cooled. These get very hot. And it's a 14+2 duet rail system. I'm sorry. Also, the PCB is 6-layer 2-ounce copper thickened. You have 4 DIMM slots. So it's dual channel memory. You can have 4 RAM sticks, and they could be overclocked to up to 5300 mega transfers per second. Over here we have some CPU fan and pump headers, so that's pretty good. We have a rainbow LED fan header. We have our diagnostics right here, top right hand corner. That is really nice to have. It's not down at the bottom like some of the other boards where you really can't see it because it's at the bottom, so you might be blocked by a radiator or something, whatever. But up here in the corner is very nice to have. Here's our Corsair header right here, so pretty cool. System fan number 2 right here. An easy debug LED right here, so like red would be CPU not installed, RAM would be orange. So yeah, look those up because they might be different for a different motherboard manufacturer, but it's good to have those also. So you also would get a code with it, so it would give you a lot more detail. You look here, oh, it's orange, it's RAM, boom, oh, the RAM's no good, or whatever the number would say. Here's your 24-pin ATX power. Here's our front panel type C connection right here. Now down here we have 8 SATA connections. So these are SATA 6 gig. You have 8 of them, but you can lose 5, 6, 7, and 8 if you decide to use a certain M.2, which we'll get to in a moment on the board. Here we have our USB 3.0 header right here, our 30 pin right here. We have another rainbow header right here. We got our front panel connector right there. We have an LED off or on switch, so if you have external power and you're just showing off the board on your wall for some reason, you could turn that off and on. We have another fan header, another 30 pin USB 3.0 connection right there, a USB 3. Next to that we have a USB 2 header right there, and right underneath your PCIe slot right here, this is where that temp sensor goes that comes in the box. And right over here is a power LED. You do not want to use that one. That one's made for, say, when you don't have a CPU or something installed. So yeah, definitely do not use that one. And then on the other side, another USB 2 header, a power LED connection, some more fan connections, another RGB connection, and our audio. Removing the shields for, say, your M.2s is pretty simple. It's just a small Phillips screwdriver. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now and show you what's underneath these plates and explain to you why you would lose what you would lose for using what real fast. So let me get this off real fast. So I'm just using a Phillips from my iFixit. Underneath there we can see our M.2 is exposed. This is our main M.2. This one will be connected straight to the PCIe lanes off of our CPU, as is our top full X16 PCIe slot right here for, say, our graphics card. And it has a nice little cooling pad on the bottom, so you can cover that up. Keep your controllers, your memories, whatever, nice and cool. And we have some screws right here. And we're starting to reveal more of what's on the bottom of the board. But also this has cooling on the bottom. Sorry I didn't show you guys, but so does that piece, the larger piece that went there. Some cooling for our CMOS battery, I assume. And underneath here is our chipset that's passively cooled. Again, that's what the S stands for in X570S, well, silent. So let's start from top to bottom. This is our M.2/1 slot, our PCIe 16 slot. Both of these are connected straight to the CPU, so you will get full bandwidth of your M.2, your graphics card, if you really believe that Gen 4 and our graphics cards today are actually using all that bandwidth, but whatever. And then under that we have our M.2/2 and 3. These will always work. It doesn't matter what you have connected here, there, here, it doesn't matter. These run straight off of the chipset. Underneath that you have your M.2/4. Now this is what I was talking about, your SATA connections. If you decide to use number 4 because you want to use all your M.2s, you will lose SATAs 5, 6, 7, and 8. So basically these 4, there's actually 4 here, would be completely gone. So you would get an extra slot here for M.2, but you would lose 4 SATA connections, and vice versa. So you could use these, but you wouldn't be able to use that. You have your PCIe by 4 right here, which is also off the chipset. They both share bandwidth and they both run off the chipset. And these are just your basic by 4 PCIe slots right here. So again, do not forget, if you would like to use the M.2 down here, you would lose 5, 6, 7, and 8. But the top 4 would be fine. These do not share bandwidth with nobody, and these two run straight off of the CPU, while the rest of these run off of the chipset. This is why you lose either the SATA or this, because you only have so many PCIe lanes from the chipset, just like the CPU. If you need more M.2 NVMe SSDs, then you need to move up the platform to say Threadripper to get, you know, a lot more lanes than what Ryzen 9 series could even do, like the 5900 or 5950X, which is pretty much the only 2 CPUs I recommend on this board. I mean, going anything smaller than that would kind of be I don't know, it would be kind of weird. You bought a $600 board, but you drop a $200 processor in it. Sorry guys, we also have another fan header right there, and your TPM right there, so you could add a TPM if you want to. So now let's move to our rear IO. And for rear IO, we have a flash BIOS button and a clear CMOS button. This is very good. So if you're overclocking RAM or something, you don't have to open the case to actually pull your button or short out the pins. Here we have our combo mouse keyboard connection. So if you're rocking old school mouse or keyboard, which are still very cool, here you go. Right here we have 2 USB 2.0 Type A USB connections. This one's for the BIOS, so if you're flashing your BIOS because you don't have the CPU or something, that's the one you would use, the one with the white outline going around it. Then you would hold in that button or look up the manual and make sure. And then we have 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 10 gigabyte USB Type A's right here. And then we have 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 5 gigabyte per second Type A connections right here. We also have an HDMI connection right here. So if you're using a 5700G for some crazy reason, because you're crazy like that, there you go. Well, I guess you could use it to test to make sure the board's working. I don't know. Then we have our Wi-Fi 6 AX210. Our 2.5 gigabyte Realtek LAN, another 10 gigabyte USB port, Type C 10 gigabyte type port right here, and our rear audio. So yeah, I mean, if you want to use that connection, this BitF, whatever, yeah, go for it. But also, if you notice, our rear IO shield is already pre-installed, which is a nice bonus. So yeah, you got a very nice robust rear IO. So that is a very good thing. But besides that, guys, down in the comments, let me know, did you buy this board? What were your temps? Let me know down in the comment section, for not just for me, but for everybody else who may watch this video. Let them know what your temps were for your power delivery, your VRMs, your MOSFETs, your chokes. Let us know all those numbers down below. Also, in the description, as I said before, there'll be links to formulamod.com. We have no association with them. We do not have an affiliate program. We do not get paid for anything you purchase off their site. I'm just making it easier for you to find it. There are a few things you could do that will not cost you $1. It will not cost you a dime. Subscribe, like, comment down below. Share these videos with your friends. Those things are free to you, but for us, they mean the world. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And guys, that's the end of this video, and I really hope to see you guys on the next one. So until then, guys, later.